Hey, fans of the Monday Movie Club. We're all awake.
Some of us.
This week, we continue our Godfather saga with Mario Puzo's The Godfather Part 2. Joel, is this
Right.
the first instance of them a movie actually having Part 2 in the title?
No,
Who did Part 2 before that?
Coppola claims it is, and honestly, it's too early on a Sunday morning for me to remember what the actual one is. I have to look it up.
But
But
there was another movie
there was
before that.
another movie before this that had a two in the title.
Well, Paramount was not happy because they thought, who's going to want to see a
Oh
movie they haven't
no.
seen before? All right. I'm Frank Gaffney. With us, as always, Don Jolio. Don. Mark, what's it? That's an odd image to pick for this movie. And Don Cringer, no Cringer.
No,
No.
I was at my computer too early. He had his time and now he's asleep.
Oh, okay. Well, having the cat on your lap actually made sense last week. So,
Right, right.
and Don King.
A king. Oh, you're all killing me.
That's great.
And Don Giovanni also deserves.
Right. Who is
Quartermass 2.
What?
Quartermass 2. The science fiction film from Britain.
Ah.
In the
Oh, sure.
50s.
Quartermass?
Quartermass. Mass.
Never heard of it.
That's because you're not a science fiction fan.
And Annie King is eating breakfast.
Bacon.
She had to cook everything from her freezer.
But she's not sharing the bacon.
All right, here's the plot.
Yum, yum, yum.
Nice.
I like it a little crispier.
I'm very impatient when it comes to cooking.
Okay. You stand in front of the microwave and yell, hurry! That joke is actually courtesy of Joan Rivers
That's old.
about Elizabeth Taylor. This compelling sequel to The Godfather contrasts the life of Corleone, ah,
Early
Corleone,
earn.
Corleone, father and son. It traces the problems of Michael Corleone. Oh my goodness. Played by Al Pacino in 1958, and now the young immigrant Vito Corleone, Robert De Niro, in 1917's Hell's Kitchen. In 2018, this was number 24 on the Franken list, but now it's number 2. I think so this is the review I wrote in 2018, if you care. The Godfather is a more important film, but Godfather Part 2 is more ambitious, more assured. It delves deeper into the soil of the Italian-American myth. It is the darker and stronger. That's Sasha. He disagrees. The pair. Together, they form a bold portrait of America, crime infiltrating big business and Washington politics, all intersecting with the Corleone's family values. So Francis Ford Coppola, who the studio almost fired from The Godfather, if you watch the miniseries they offer, you would know that. And he said he wasn't interested in making a sequel. So Paramount offered $1 million plus 13% of the profits
Wow.
and total artistic control. Altogether now, they made him an offer.
He
Good
couldn't
news.
Cannot refuse.
Okay. And between Fredo's meltdown and Vito's patient and beautifully choreographed assassination of Fanucci, this one is more dynamic, more dramatic, and of course, all owes to the fact of the beauty of Part One, which established those characters so vividly. But the brilliant thing, and I think this was Francis's idea, was to move Part Two in two directions: to see Vito's beginnings, and then see Michael's endings. It's fascinating. The whole thing is just fascinating. And so Annie is you read the book. Obviously, you said that last week. Is there any things from the book that are part two?
Yeah, no backstory.
Oh, so that definitely was in the book.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. So
Yeah,
then,
because when the first one was made, I'm like, what happened to his whole story of how he became the Don?
yeah. All right. All right.
But what
So
I read in the trivia was that the whole Las Vegas aspect wasn't in the book. That's
Yeah.
right.
So that
And
was
so
added. All right. Well, um, everything here really feels more accomplished. The photography, the score, and where The Godfather had Marlon Brando's, I think, in, indelible portrait. Part two has Al Pacino. I mean, he's 34 years old. Good Lord. Witnessing his descent is to watch one of the all-time great performances. How this man did not get an Oscar. Who did he lose to in 74?
Art Carney.
Who?
Come
Wow.
on, that's funny, right?
No.
Harry and Thompson.
Yeah.
Harry and Thompson. No. Um, and while the first film, the end is numbing, this one is shattering. At the beginning of part two echoes the opening of The Godfather, so does the end. But because the manner in which circumstances are handled, oh, I was so good at writing. And the people involved, the impact here is greater. The mythic tragic flaw has accomplished its inevitable goal. Coppola?
Hey, Frank,
Wait,
can you say Tesseract for us?
he punctuates both movies with a gut-twisting exclamation point. Which movie is better? Claiming that The Godfather Part 2 is better than Part 1 is like saying Lennon was the better Beatle than McCartney. One cannot exist in isolation of the other. Both Godfathers must be seen by anyone who loves American film. Oh, and apparently they made a Part 3, which we'll watch next week. Oh my God. Okay, so I did write some observations, but again, this movie is so compelling, so beautiful to watch. I was watching the movie. And I'm like, oh wait, I'm supposed to be writing stuff.
Mm.
So this was the first note I wrote was Hyman Roth is 67. I will be 67 in 3 months. And there's no mention of Hyman Roth in part one. Was he in the book, Annie? No. Hyman Roth? Yeah, he was. Okay. And played by Lee Strasberg, who really wasn't an actor as much as he was a very world-renowned acting teacher. And his performance is very calm. He's very calm.
Mm-hmm.
Then they said, bring in the Panino brothers for blah, blah, blah. My mother's maiden name is Panino. Just thought I'd mention that.
Very nice.
And
her name was Kay.
yes, her name was Kay. Yeah.
Great.
Well, her name was Catherine, but everybody called her Kay.
Did you like to slam doors in her face too? She gets.
Yeah.
Obviously did not know my mother. And they didn't film in Cuba. They filmed in the Dominican Republic. 1959, and obviously the fall of Cuba. Great to put it on that backdrop. That was great. So I was like, wait, I know they took a lot. This is how they say, a room in a clef, somewhat based on real facts, but they just use them for their own purposes. So Mo Green was based on Bugsy Siegel, who was the first
Jewish.
idea. It was his idea to create Las Vegas out in the desert there.
Oh.
And there's a great Barry Levinson movie called Bugsy with Warren
Bugsy.
Beatty.
Warren
Warren
Beatty.
Beatty.
Yep. I've seen that.
Yeah, very miscast as Bugsy Siegel, but it's
Yeah.
a good movie. And so in 1947, he was indeed assassinated. I don't know that he was shot through the eye. And so the Hyman Roth character is based on Meyer Lansky, who was also a gangster, obviously, around that era, but he did not get assassinated. He died of lung cancer.
He died a year after Lee Strasberg did.
He's like, my actor is gone, I'm going.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so beautiful. The whole Fredo thing is so beautiful in this movie. And when Johnny Olin and he's like, they never met, and you could totally see in his face. He's like, uh-oh. And then when they're at the sex club, Johnny knows the place is like the back of his hand. He's like, oh no.
His Al Pacino's face when he realizes it.
God.
Not
Yep.
realizes it, but it's
Oh my
confirmed.
God.
Yeah.
Brilliant. and setting up the senator, great, and then they have him in his pocket. There was so much going on in that section. I forgot about young Vito. I'm like, oh my God, wait, no, yeah. And De Niro is 30 years old, so skinny, so beautiful. And so then seeing the characters from The Godfather as young people, Salvatore Tessio in 1920, that's Abe Vigoda's character. And then Bruno Kirby as Clemenza, that's Richard Castellano's. I'm sorry, you have a comment?
No, I'm just pointing.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Uh,
I was like,
I don't
say
know.
it, what?
Why are you pointing to the landlord?
Yeah, I don't know why he's pointing to the landlord, but
Oh,
That's
yeah.
the landlord.
put your glasses on.
I don't have my glasses on. I thought that was.
That is not Bruno Kirby.
I thought it was Charlie Chaplin.
Yeah. And really, so they convinced James Caan to come back for that one scene at the end, and he wanted the same salary he got for part one. They said, okay, fine, and he did it. They thought they convinced Marlon Brando to come back for that scene, and he just never showed up on the day of filming. But Richard Castellano not doing the movie is a travesty. I don't like whatever his name is, Gazzo, Michael Gazzo. It would have been so much more full circle if it really was Clemenza. But all right, intermission 2 hours. I know, but they should have given him everything he wanted. We needed that.
They couldn't for a variety of reasons. He wanted more money than any other actor in the film, and they wanted him to put back all the weight he had lost.
Ah,
So
that's funny. They could have padded him. Who cares?
they padded Bruno Kirby, but I agree.
Yeah,
but you got to work with what you got. And Michael Gazzo got nominated for an Oscar, so
no, we needed Richard Castellano.
Hi,
Intermission.
puppy.
Hi, puppy.
Hi, puppy.
I got a
Hey,
puppy
Abby.
too. Puppy.
Hi, the puppy.
See the other puppy? Oh.
puppy.
Oh. Ha.
I looked very quickly and I thought, oh my God,
Monkey.
It's just still alive. Monkey.
what are you looking at?
Monkey.
All right, so 2 hours and 6 minutes into it, we get intermission. And I assume there were intermissions in the movie theater.
Nope. No. The
No?
movie ran without an intermission when it originally premiered. It had
So
no
why would they
intermission.
put it on the DVD? Who cares?
Because it was Coppola's idea. That's where they were gonna put the intermission if they were putting intermission in the movie, and for whatever reasons, he decided to put it back when it came out on Blu-ray with his remaster a couple of years ago.
All right. Well, okay. So then, Michael, product placement. Michael goes back to Lake Tahoe, and the gates are closing, and it says ADT.
Yep.
Nice that Robert Duvall gave up the toupee because obviously he was older. And De Niro, as it got later in 1920s, he started looking like Marlon Brando with the. It was great. And Michael smokes Camel cigarettes, the worst carcinogenic cigarettes.
No filter.
No filter.
Just like you, Frank.
Lots of nicotine. All right. And then, oh my God, Fredo, so heartbreaking. And John Cazale is so great. So his story, he only appeared in 5 movies in his career, and all 5 of them were nominated for Best Picture. How funny is that?
Wow.
Both Godfathers, The Conversation, Dog Day Afternoon, and The Deer Hunter. He was 42 when he died.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Cancer. And Kay deciding to leave, great scene. And when he slapped her onto that couch, I'm like, you go, boy. That was great.
Very nice, Frank.
Oh
Yeah,
my
seriously.
God. It looked like he really slapped her. It was beautiful.
But his eyes, as they slowly just got bigger and his mouth got tighter, brilliant.
Oh my gosh. How did he not win the Oscar? Oh, and then finally Talia Shire came back. All right, he has a sister. And then the 2 outcasts got a little reunited there. And then Fredo sleeps with the fishes, literally.
Yeah.
And then we see Michael alone. And then you think, well, there's no need for another movie
There's no need.
until 1990. We'll talk about that next week. Again, for cannoli for me, I give it a for cannoli plus, like an A plus on an exam. It's a rare case of the sequel being better than the original, so beautiful to watch, and it never feels like 3 hours and 20 minutes. It was so great. Oh my God, Amy, I know you agree with me because last week you only wanted to do 3.75 because you wanted to rate this movie for like two movies can't be both 4-star movies.
I know. I don't know what I was thinking.
I don't know. It's not like ranking them, it's like 1 and 2.
Yeah.
All right.
What's really weird is I could swear when I saw The Godfather in, I guess, 2023, I watched this one right after, but there was not a single second of this movie that looked familiar. I mean, at least there were a few moments of the original that I was like, oh, yeah, I remember the scene. Nothing. So maybe I dreamed that I saw it. So I'm going to say I never saw this movie until yesterday.
Well, here's the thing for me. Certainly, I've seen the first movie a lot more than the second.
Sure.
So maybe that's why it stayed with you more.
But I saw them both, I thought back to back pretty much, like within a week of each other.
Yeah.
I got nothing, absolutely nothing. I had no idea what was going on.
So what's your
Hold on. Even the backstory with De Niro, you didn't remember that?
Nothing.
Wow.
I swear I never saw it. And I did find some of it confusing. I did quite a few times have to pause and look at the
synopsis.
Yeah. Like when he said that he suggested to what's his nuts to commit suicide, and there he is dead in the tub. I'm like, he told him to commit suicide? What? Never.
Yeah. In the prison.
Yeah. Well, a lot of stuff I think went over my head. What?
He just kind of suggested it.
Yeah.
I never got that. And I also have a problem, and I've always had this problem where I don't recognize faces very well. Even if it's somebody I know at work, I'd be like, your name is, I have this serious problem. So with so many characters, I was constantly like, do we know this person? So that often makes a movie with a lot. What?
I did have to explain some of it to Anthony as we were watching. I'm like, remember, this is blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, that's what I need throughout. So that's why I constantly have to stop. So it takes me 5 hours to watch a 3.5 hour.
Then never watch Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing.
Oh my gosh. I couldn't even get through it the first time.
I watched the first episode of Game of Thrones and I was like, I have no idea what's going on. And I remember thinking there were too many characters. I don't know who.
Yeah. I watched probably like 5 or 6 and I was like, nope. And then I went back and watched it again as it was coming to the end. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But you needed a scorecard.
Yeah, I need a scorecard for almost everything. It's awful.
Oh, maybe I'll read the book first before I see it.
Yeah.
Don't watch Waiting for Godot, Amy.
Okay, I don't get it.
There's like 4 characters in the play.
Oh, okay. I'd still have a problem remembering that.
And you won't recognize Godot when you see him.
Exactly.
So anyway, but I did really enjoy it, of course, and I would put it right. I don't know that I would think either one was better than the other. I loved them both. So since I went 3.75 and you upped me to 4, I'll go with 4 cannoli.
And no notes?
No, I didn't take any notes. The only note I did think of was, I can't believe keep your friends close and your enemies closer is from this movie. That's where it came from. Just like never assume you make an ass out of you and me. Nobody knows it's from The Odd Couple.
Odd Couple.
Yeah.
Hey,
to me, that's just a phrase that's always been around. But I guess it's only been around since 1974. Apparently not. I would think it is because it's listed as one of the great movie quotes of all time. So to me, that means it came from the movie.
Wow.
I think you're right, Amy.
Wow. When I heard it, I thought, oh, they used that.
Yeah.
Not that they created that.
They created that.
That is a brilliant line.
Yeah.
Obviously quotable. Are you done?
I'm done.
All right. Let's go to John, who has the wrong picture up.
Yeah, I've got some similarities here.
Over so you're hiding the landlord. The other way.
The other line.
There we go.
There you go.
Robert De Niro is so good in this movie. Oh my God.
Yeah,
with the
I didn't even write a note on that, but I wanted to say that the entire backstory with Nero was absolutely mesmerizing, my favorite part of the movie, and I love the way it would just fade from Michael into Vito.
yes,
Camera work, that
and
was great,
he did win the Oscar for this
Yeah.
performance,
and he deserved it.
making it one of the few instances where two different people won the Oscar for playing the same character.
Okay.
Because Marlon Brando won, and all right, go.
So I thought the starting off, Vito as a boy on Ellis Island or Liberty Island, whatever, Ellis Island, looked like Al Pacino. If you go back and look at this kid, you're like this
Yeah, a
this
little
is Al
bit. Yeah,
Pacino as a child.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and he did a
Um,
good job, that kid. That whole scene, I loved it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Andolini.
Right.
yeah. The priest who did the baptism in the last movie and the communion in this movie looks like he lifts. So a lot of respect to you, whoever that guy is. He looks like he could take somebody out in a fight.
Well,
Uh,
probably not now.
Probably not. And it wasn't until I'm going to explain this Don here. Only Joel will get this. That it wasn't until I saw Godfather 1 and 2 as an adult that I got the joke in Cannibal Run 2. Cannibal Run 2 has pretty much every celebrity from the 80s in it, including the entire Rat Pack. That is a 4-star movie to me because of nostalgia. I'm sure if
Oh,
you
good Lord, 2026.
I may have to put it on, and you will probably have to
It has to be a double feature, Mark. If you're going to do two, you got to do one.
do one. That's fair. That's fair.
Oh, sure. Let's watch them both in the same week, shall we?
Torture you guys. But in the movie, there were 4 gangsters, and at least 3 out of the 4 of them are all from Godfather 1 and 2. They were all mobsters, including Mo Green. And I had no idea that was
The actors?
the actors. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And the Michael Gazzo who played Frank Tangelo, Tangelo.
Angeli.
Thank you. Whatever it is, I cannot. The entire movie, I'm like Tangelo.
Tesseract?
Frankie Five Angels, so it'd be Pent, Angeli.
Pentangeli.
Yeah,
Oh, all
Pentangeli.
right. All right, I like that. Anyway, they all worked for Charles Nelson Riley,
Ah,
who was a Don named Don, hence Don Don.
Yeah.
And his father was Dom DeLuise, who was playing the Vito Corleone with the cat and all that stuff. Anyway, so I did enjoy. Again, all I'm saying is that when I finally saw The Godfathers, I got that joke, and it was hilarious to a kid who watched the Cannibal Run movies over and over again. I thought the movie got boring a little bit in both Cuba and in the courtroom scenes for me. And I saw that you just already said it, Frank, but first of all, Hyman, nice
I
name.
knew you would love that name.
I didn't
was like,
love it.
Mark is
I
gonna
thought it.
make a comment about this name.
My
I'm
great grandfather's name was Hyman, so watch it.
did
I'm
you
just
break
saying.
him? Did you break him?
I never knew him.
It was just I don't know. Anyway, Hyman Roth played by Lee Strasberg. Danielle went to the first year her college experience was American Academy of Dramatic Arts, and then she went to the Lee Strasberg Institute and Theater. So she went to his school. So she always talks about him. And I mentioned it because she didn't watch them. She's doing rehearsals every night, so I'm watching these on my own. I said, "Did you know Lee Strasberg is in this movie?" She goes, "I wouldn't even know him if I walked by him on the street. Never mind the fact that he died in 1982, but
Right.
she had no idea who he was anyway." And I recognized Gazzo from Rocky right away. I think he was Chi-Chi in this movie, but
That's not Gazzo. Gazzo played Frank Pentangeli.
no. The character name of Gazzo in Rocky, the gangster that Rocky worked for, was Chi-Chi in this.
Yes, the actor played Willie.
Yeah,
Chi.
so I'm saying I
Okay.
know him as Gazzo. I don't care about Michael Gazzo's name. I'm saying Gazzo from.
Oh, is that
Rocky.
that was the name of his character in Rocky? I forget.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. And again, we just saw Al Neri as Timothy Hutton's father in Beautiful Girls.
Mm-hmm.
He goes home. Do you guys remember that? Do you want to watch golf on the TV? He's the one who killed Fredo,
Yes.
which I
Yeah.
had no idea of until I looked him up.
Wow.
And LOL at the intermission too. I did not know that history, so thank you for explaining that. That was a little bizarre. And I didn't remember this movie nearly as much as I had thought, similar to Amy, although I definitely remembered the De Niro parts, and I was waiting for him. I didn't realize it was so far into it when he goes back to Sicily to kill Don Cheech, because I definitely remember that part. But I forgot completely about the big abortion reveal that Kay tells him. I was actually shocked at that. I did not see that coming. I remember him kind of banishing her.
And I was like, shut up, don't tell him
Yeah,
that.
I was like, do you want to get murdered? When you saw his eyes, I was
Right?
like, oh my God, is she gonna get murdered now? I don't know. Um, anyway, and yeah, I was again, Michael just loves slamming doors in Kay's face. And you're not going to convince me otherwise, Frank. I'm going 3.75 on this. I thought this was bad. I did not enjoy it nearly as much as Godfather 1. I did think parts of it were especially the backstory. Any scene with De Niro in it was 4 stars. The movie overall, not perfect, but 3.75 is a fantastic, fantastic movie. It just
Yeah.
wasn't at the level of Godfather 1 for me, and I was actually very surprised by that because I thought this was going to be for sure 4 stars.
Me too last week. Yeah.
Don King,
Um, yeah, I watched The Offer this week,
right?
so it was very interesting to watch that and then
With a
go
grain
on.
of salt.
Hmm?
With a grain
Yes,
of salt.
yes, but it also made me notice like the lighting, especially in this movie, with like half his features in the dark, and then like when he's out in the light. I mean, it definitely made me look at it,
More
in that way.
sophisticated and mature.
Very
Yes,
Yeah,
which
nice.
yeah. No, The Offer is definitely a fascinating little mini series about the making of The Godfather. It's Robert Evans. No, who's the Albert?
Al
What's
Ruddy.
Al Ruddy's viewpoint of it? And yeah, it was a lot of fun to watch, but yeah,
yeah, like
some of it was
what
made up.
they went through and stuff, and
Yeah,
with all the lighting, which made me watch this one, like really notice all the lighting and everything. So it's like really cool. I felt like they used like some of the same houses, or like in Sicily. Did they use the same places
Yeah.
to do this this movie, right? I
Yeah,
was like,
well, yeah, they use the same locations because in the first movie, when Michael is banished to Sicily or escapes to Sicily, he's staying with Don Tomasino. When Vito, young Vito, De Niro, goes to Sicily, they're staying with Don Tomasino. Before
yeah,
he's, Don Tomasino, you see how Don Tomasino winds up in the wheelchair that he's in the first film,
that's
'cause he
right.
gets
Yeah,
shot.
yeah.
but
So,
did they use that same house?
yeah,
Were they
Wow,
right?
yeah. And
I didn't
Yeah.
catch that.
there's a moment in the first film where Michael and the bodyguards are walking through town and such, and you see the exact same shot at the beginning of the film when Vito's hiding in the basket on the donkey and Tomasino's going through town, getting him out. So
Yeah. So he obviously took over the house
yeah,
when they killed Cheech.
Right. That's what I said. Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, no, it was cool. I liked it a lot because from the first movie I was like, what happened to the whole backstory? That was like the part I really enjoyed in the book, you know. So
Yeah.
I'm glad they actually put it in to this one. So that was really cool. And he did such a great job with that. Like you could really see, how it began, with
Well,
doing
that's great.
papers.
So then they come into the sequel thinking, okay, we left young Vito's story out. How do we get it here? And then right, putting it with Michael's taking over, and it made perfect sense because that would have only been half a movie if they just did the young Vito part. I
Well,
mean,
and
I don't think that's
Coppola
even
wasn't
an hour.
interested. He wasn't interested in doing anything other than contrasting Vito's
Yeah,
rise with Michael's
Michael's,
descent.
yeah. And for Michael, obviously, the thing that was most important to him when he started out was family, and then he lost every single one of them.
For them all.
Yeah,
Yep.
so sad.
Yes. I always wondered, like, I felt that one scene with him and Tom Hagen where he was like, so are you going to tell me you're moving to Vegas?
Yeah,
Was like so, such a slap because of their relationship and,
yeah,
the way he said it
yeah,
and stuff. So I thought he was going to lose Tom too, but
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no,
But
four
Tom's
stars
not
for
family.
me. Well,
Come
I
on.
thought that last scene with the birthday where the four brothers were sitting there was cool too,
Yeah,
see them all.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then I read that they had to rewrite the scene because Marlon Brando didn't show up.
Yeah.
So that was all the same
Surprise!
day they did that.
Yes. And so De Niro and Pacino never worked together in this movie.
Nope.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
was
Right.
wasn't Heat the first time they worked together,
You
95?
had to
They
wait
shared a
until
scene.
yeah, for them to have
Shared a
one
scene.
scene together.
Yeah.
And they only have one scene in that
Yep.
movie, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there are rumors that the scene was actually they were never on set at the same time. I don't know how true they are, but
I could see it because that scene has a lot of close-ups.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
that movie that came out 10 years after that, I forget the name of it, was unwatchable. That had the two of them in it. Hard Target, something. I don't know. They did another movie together
Oh no, I
afterwards.
know, but nobody remembers it, so who
Yeah,
cares?
it was unwatchable.
Weren't they both in the Martin Scorsese movie? The
Nope.
Painter, whatever that was.
The
What was
what?
that?
Oh, The Irishman?
The Ace thing?
Irishman.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But
Moving
but
on.
more cannolis for me. I thoroughly enjoyed watching. I've seen it more than a few times also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And last year I watched the chronological order one, probably only the second time I'd seen that one. And it really doesn't have the same impact because if that was your first time watching it, I don't think it would be as interesting because the way that we meet Vito, it's great to see him earlier, after. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Sure. Sure.
Because then, yeah, which came first, the chicken or the egg kind of thing. Like it just was more compelling that then we learn about how he got where he got.
Sure.
Is that available somewhere to watch? Chronological.
Theoretically, yes, if you have a VHS player or a Laserdisc player. Uh, there's
I downloaded it from somewhere.
well, yeah, there's lots of illegal downloads that you can
I don't know that
find.
it was illegal.
Oh, trust me, it's illegal.
Annie, I'm sure you can find
Well,
there's a
I'm
box
sure
set that I'm sure you can find online on
it's
eBay
only
or something.
VHS. It's only
Yeah, it was
VHS.
only released on VHS and Laserdisc. It was never released on DVD or Blu-ray because Coppola doesn't like it.
Yeah.
That's not something he
Yeah. Well,
wants.
somebody must have transferred it to digital
Oh,
because
it's definitely been trans. I've seen bootleg Blu-rays of it that are
yeah,
available where they
yeah.
literally pulled the picture off the remastered versions and then re-edited it with the scenes that were I mean, they're fans with too much time on their hands to do shit.
Oh yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
God. No, absolutely. And that is definitely what I watched.
Yeah.
Annie, I can send you the link. Don Jolio, this is a masterpiece of American filmmaking. Don't you agree?
I would wholeheartedly agree. It is
Wait, do you have a thing in the background there?
I have the my
From
Blu-rays up.
last week? You
I,
just removed it?
I changed the Blu-ray out. I do have Funko did make pops of for
Robert
the
De Niro?
second film it's Robert De Niro, Tom Hagen, and Michael
Now this you pay.
sitting in his chair, but I can't find them. They
Oh,
weren't where I thought they were. So you got
imagine that.
the old ones are still here. I just moved them around. If
Okay.
I find them for next week, they'll definitely be here because there are no pops for The Godfather Part 3.
That's a shame.
I don't know. I was hoping that there'd be an Archbishop Gilday, but anyway. Um,
It's so obscure. Could have gone with the Sophia.
anyway, no, it's an absolutely brilliant piece of cinema.
Wait, I also read just yesterday that when they first showed it, maybe to the exhibitors or something, that they hated the movie and he went back and re-edited
they
it.
had a test screening for audiences, and
Right.
there was a lot more cross-cutting between the decades.
Ah, I see.
Confused people.
Yeah.
So what was happening was people would get into the story with like Robert De Niro, and then it would cut to Al Pacino, and then they get
Okay,
into the
so that
story of Al
explains that
Pacino.
whole hour.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
They
Okay.
they cut that down to what it is now, and it worked much better. And I think it
Yeah.
does. I think if you were cutting in and out more, it would be a lot more choppy and harder to understand.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there are enough parallels to warrant going back and forth to see
Right.
how he handled it now, how he handled it then, because that doesn't really exist.
Exactly. Um, but I think the and I agree with what you said earlier about not having Clemenza in the
Part two,
Las Vegas scenes. It is unfortunate. It would have been more um,
full circle.
yeah, well, yeah, full circle. It would have had more dramatic meaning because we're already familiar with the character, but it is what it is. And I
And
think
to see what happened to his other partner in
sure
that way.
but I think Frankie Pentangeli, they build him up as enough of a substitution that it still works well. Um, I love that final scene at the birthday party at the end of the film because Brando's not in it, but he is so a part of it that there are
Oh
people
yeah.
who think that he's in it, that they remember
I thought he was there.
Yes.
exactly.
Wait, I think in the 9 hour version, like you hear his voice off stage or something. I think there
Uh,
was something.
it's been a while since I've seen that version. I can't imagine it because, but then it could be. I don't know. It's such an oddball piece.
But Joel, it's probably like you said, one fan had too much time on their hands, found a bit of dialogue that wasn't
Right, and
used,
just put it
put
over
it
it.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very possible. Um, I think all the performances are, you know, the ones that might have been weaker in the first film, like Connie, just they move up the ladder. They're
Oh
all,
yeah. Oh yeah.
top
Did,
notch. And Pacino, you
did I
know,
mention that Diane Keaton was 28? That seems so ridiculous to me.
Pacino not winning it's one of those things where it's
Oh,
like we need to watch Harry and Tonto just to see
Yeah.
yeah,
how is Art Carney better than Al Pacino?
yeah.
Was there some there was no split. Nobody else from The Godfather was nominated for Best Actor, right?
No, because it would have everything else would have
Oh,
been Best Supporting Actor.
yeah.
Yeah, so there's no split involved.
Yeah. Although Robert De Niro is certainly not supporting anybody in his section of the movie.
Yeah, but they
No,
didn't want to
but
pit them together.
they did they didn't want to pit them together, and technically, I think De Niro's only in like 45 minutes of the movie, so
Doesn't matter. He's still the lead
No.
character in those scenes.
sure, yes, and he is brilliant. He deserved that Oscar.
Oh my gosh. So
The
much.
the
When
he's
he when the lady sorry, when the lady came who was being evicted because of her damn barking dog,
yes, yeah.
damn barking dog. Um, and he's sitting there with his hair like that. I'm like,
Mhm.
oh my God.
Mhm.
He must have watched Marlon Brando all week.
Oh, sure.
Uh,
And you got to love the fact that they,
Marlon Brando, look,
yeah, he's a pug.
bulldog. It's a
They
bulldog.
give him, as his scenes go on, he gets that
Yeah,
dental
prosthetics. Yeah, he
prosthetic
looks like a
that,
bulldog. Absolutely.
and he is just, it's the whole film is just amazing. It's well shot, it's well edited, it's amazingly
That's
acted.
what he said, and so much more assured.
Yeah,
Francis knew exactly, and all those beautiful crowd scenes in Sicily and the San Gennaro Festival,
yeah.
so beautifully choreographed.
Or even like the
After he kills Finucci and he's going through the crowd, and you see such determination on his face just to walk and walk at an
yeah.
even pace, and all the fireworks going on behind him, you're like,
But it's a
this
nice
is such a
contrast to
big
earlier in
moment.
the scene. It's a nice contrast to earlier in that scene where he's slinking over the rooftops. Just also well choreographed,
Yeah, so
and
brilliant.
I love even the early scene with Vito on the ship when they arrive in the harbor at New York, and you see the Statue of Liberty and all the immigrants are coming closer to the edge of the boat to get a better look, and everything is just
Yeah, all I was thinking there was Yentl.
was yeah. Did you catch Sofia Coppola in that scene?
Is she in that scene?
He's in that scene. Yeah, that last pan across all of the
Oh, she's
immigrant.
in all three movies.
He's in all three movies. Yeah.
Nice.
But it's a wonderful I've seen it, I've probably seen The Godfather more times than The Godfather Part 2 just because, but there's really no reason for it. It's
I totally get where Mark is going with that because part one is much more entertaining,
yes. Yeah.
much more watchable, but this one is just compelling and absorbing.
Yeah,
A lot more
it's
going on,
he's peeling back
but
the
that is it.
layers of the onion
Yeah.
on all the characters that we've already met and we've grown to love to see
But
where
I
they're
could I
coming
could
from.
see how you would think it's not as much fun
Yeah.
because it's
But,
not.
and I think if De Niro hadn't been in the film, John Cazale would have won the Oscar for, for
He's
Fredo.
great. He's
He's
so great.
amazing. Yeah.
Such a milk toast.
Yeah. But
And to think he could get away with betraying Michael just because he felt left out because he was
left
Passover
over.
and
Yeah.
all of those families.
Yep, they suck.
They suck. All right, Joel. I'm assuming that's a 4-star
No,
review.
zero. Absolute zero. Of course it's four. What else would it be? It's that
Okay, all 3 Godfather movies are available on Paramount Plus if you subscribe to that streaming service. Or you can rent them. I'm sorry.
one more thing, just because it's a nice segue into talking about part three for next week.
Uh-huh.
Have you all been paying attention to the oranges in the movie?
I actually wrote that down and then I crossed it off.
I did say
Uh,
who eats oranges that way?
Yeah.
Right.
Just pay
There's a
attention.
significant
There's a
orange available.
significance to the oranges in all three films.
okay.
Yeah, I think the first movie it wasn't intentional because, just, dress up the set. Oranges look great in the color scheme of things. And well, of course they're gonna have oranges, but then I think it was more deliberate, yeah, in this movie for sure.
Yeah, that's definitely it's obviously deliberate in part three, and I'm not sure how undeliberate it was in part one, honestly, because there's too many of them to really say that it
Well,
wasn't.
I think certainly when he gets shot and he just falls, it's just a cart of fruit. It
I
just happen to be
understand that,
oranges.
but there's other instances of oranges
Yeah.
in part one as well. So
Yeah, when he dies.
yeah, exactly. He's got one in his mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that kid, oh my God, again, another great scene. It was just all improvised between Marlon Brando and this kid. And the
Yeah.
kid was genuinely like, what the hell are you doing?
That little
Okay,
kid run.
moving on.
Anyway, moving on.
Next week, originally called The Godfather Part 3, is now called The Godfather Coda. Not about children of deaf adults, as some might think. Coda, the death of Michael Corleone.
Spoiler alert.
It's in the title.
Oh, it is? Oh.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the title of the new version is the Godfather Code
Yeah.
The Death of Michael Corleone.
So we're not watching the 1990 version. Actually, we're going to watch the re-edited version that Francis did. When did they do it?
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah, it's very recent.
Yeah.
And honestly, the theatrical version that was from 1990 has never been on home video before. It was released as part of the new 4K restoration that they did as part of that box set. And I have not seen it since the theatrical release. So I will be watching that again, as well as the home video version that came out in 1991. So,
but here's the thing that it just says to everyone in the whole world that even Francis does not think this is on the level with the other two because he changed it.
he changed it 3 times.
I'm
There's
just
the
saying.
theatrical version, the home
Like,
video
yeah,
version,
no,
and the
this is
coda.
not really.
He re-edited it 3 times. He's crazy.
And
Yeah.
whose idea was it to make the third one?
Obviously his. He had to agree to it.
Well, yeah, Coppola is famously on record after part two as saying the only way he would make a third film is if it was Abbott and Costello meet The Godfather. And
No, because he needed money.
that's always
his money.
Oh.
So he did it. But he does get a good amount of people to come back, which is great. It was great to see everybody. We'll talk about it next week.
Yes.
I'm Frank Gaffney. Go watch a movie. That's it.
And also with you.